principle today is voice. It's about letting the other person I'm with know what you say matters to me. It's about being present to the person, hearing them, not manipulating, but partnering. Voice is kind of a natural outcome of the first two principles, equality and choice. If I see you as a person who counts, if I believe you should control your life, you should have autonomy over all the things you can. There's limitations in any organization of what you can and can't do, but still. But if I believe in autonomy, I believe in equality, then chances are I believe your voice should be heard. That means I listen to you. And I ask questions not to manipulate you, but to hear what you really think. I don't judge you. I see you as a partner, and I really want to learn along with you or hear with you and not use you, but see you as a full partner in the conversation. A lot of people have written about voice in various ways. One of the books that got me thinking about this was this book, Marcus Buckingham and Kurt Kaufman's book, First Break All the Rules. There's a new edition out right now, which I've got on Kindle, but I didn't think I'd hold up my iPad. I thought I'd just hold up this book. They surveyed millions of people. I think for this book, they interviewed 80,000 people and interviewed, if I've got it right, 1 million people. And since then, they've used Gallup organization to survey many, many more people to figure out basically what's happening when people are successful, productive, happy, doing a good job at their work. More than 30 years of in-depth research came up with a list of 12 questions. They're called the Gallup Q12. And if you can answer yes to all these questions, you're probably happy and successful at work. Here are just a few of the questions. Do you know what's expected of you at work? Do you have the materials you need? In the last 7 days, have you received recognition? And then at work, do your opinions seem to count? And what they said, if your opinions don't count, chances are you're not as productive and successful and happy with your job, engaged in your work, as you would if your opinions did count. Now, the author of this book, Shane Lopez, a wonderful man, who I really respected, and we lost him recently in the last 2 years, and he's the kind of guy I wanted to be like. That's how wonderful a person he is, I guess. He wrote a great book called Making Hope Happen, which is a wonderful articulation of what's involved in hope. But he worked for Gallup. He lived in Lawrence, Kansas, where I live, but he worked for Gallup and did a lot of research. And one of the things he wanted to do is he wanted to take this G12 list of questions and pull out the one on voice. He wanted to find out, do teachers feel like their opinions matter? And do doctors feel like their opinions matter? And nurses and truck drivers and construction workers and service workers in restaurants and miners and other really big careers, big jobs people could have commonly around the country. He surveyed over 70,000 people. I met him in a little restaurant in Lawrence, 715 Mass, the day before he released his research, and I asked him what he'd found. And he told me, first off, the teachers started out most engaged. Of all those careers, they were the most engaged, but it dropped off rapidly. And then he leaned across the table and he said, you won't believe who felt their opinions mattered the least. Lower than truck drivers, lower than service workers in restaurants, lower than miners, teachers. At the bottom of the list and feeling like their opinion mattered, their voice was heard, were teachers. And that might have a lot to do with why the engagement drops off. Now, that's not necessarily true if you're in a school, but that's the average across the United States. So here's another book to consider, because what about student voice? Do kids feel they have a voice? Well, this is Russ Qualia's study. Every year he has a student voice survey. 55,000 students get surveyed. And what he found is just what Shane found, that students don't feel they have the voice. In fact, if I have the numbers correct, 51% of the students surveyed said, I don't think my teacher cares if I come to school at all. And many kids said they'd have no input on what they do, no say in what they do. And Russ makes the claim that when kids have a voice in what they do, they're 7 times more likely to achieve than when they don't have a voice. So Russ was a keynoter at our conference, the Teaching, Learning, Coaching Conference last year. And he gave his presentation, which was wonderful. He's a warm-hearted, good guy who's a magnificent presenter. And he said, does anybody have questions? And I thought, well, it's my conference. I'm going to ask a question. So I said, is there a correlation between teacher voice and student voice? Because Russ also has a book on teacher voice. And he said, yes, absolutely. He said, when teachers have a voice, students have a voice. When teachers don't have a voice, students don't have a voice. And so here's this thing. It's going to increase achievement by 7 times, according to Russ Qualia. And it's just a matter of giving people voice.